about 4/5 of the way through Paul's epistle to the church in Rome, otherwise known as Romans 13, he writes, "Let every person be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except from God, and those that exist have been instituted by God. Therefore, whoever resists the authorities resists what God has appointed, and those who resist will incur judgment." So this is a verse that I hear people quote all the time to basically say that all the immorality, the abject degeneracy that's being legislated from the lowest levels of government all the way up to the chambers of Congress is basically God's judgment on us, which I don't necessarily disagree with. But how would you answer those people?
Well,
when
first
they
of
tell
all, in
you,
our country, we are the government, right? We the people. So we're the ones that are supposed to be influencing the lawmakers to do the right thing. We're not just supposed to sit back and go, oh, they're doing bad things now. Oh, we can't because of Romans 13. No. We're supposed to be engaged. We're supposed to be the ones who call them to task to do the right thing. Romans 13 doesn't say don't be politically involved. It's basically setting up the fact that God has instituted government to protect innocent people from evil. But what happens when the government begins to do evil itself? What do we do then? And that's a thorny question. I think we're supposed to be civilly disobedient whenever the government tells us to do something God tells us not to do, or tells us not to do something God tells us to do. Now, it doesn't mean we're trying to overthrow the government. It means we're going to be disobedient. We're not going to do that. For example, if we're in China and there's a one-child policy and you're pregnant with your second child, you disobey the government. You give birth to that baby. If Joe Biden's administration comes into your house because your 3-year-old thinks he's a girl, you're going to take that girl and hide her somewhere. I'm going to, because that would be evil for that to be done. Also, when you look at Romans 13, you've got to ask yourself, is Paul making a universal point with no exceptions, or is he making a general point with few exceptions? I think he's making a general point with few exceptions. Yeah, generally, governments are instituted among men to secure rights. But what happens when they go wrong? What are you supposed to do? I'm not advocating the overthrow of the government, but I am advocating you can civilly disobey.